Hey guys, it's Tuesday, August 25th. Summer is quickly flying by and school and the fall is looming, and I want you to know that we're praying for you guys. These are not easy days, lots of complications, maybe lots of fears, lots of worry. I just want you to fix your eyes on Jesus in everything. And this is not just some trite spiritual saying, man. This is survival. Fix your eyes on Christ and you'll land on your feet. It seems like there's a lot of pressure. We're being shaped, we're being changed in so many ways, and it got me thinking about how a potter works with clay. Scripture says, Jesus says, "I am the potter, you are the clay." Other parts it says that he talks about God being the potter and us being the clay, and that He can mold us and shape us into anything He wants us to be, and He wants to shape us into beautiful reflections of who He is. And so thinking about this idea of potter, I have a really good friend who's a potter, and I wanted to talk to her a little bit. Plus, I love her and her husband, Dave and Quin, Cheung. And so we're going to I want to interview them, and hopefully just as you listen to her heart as a potter, that'll bless you today too. So let's go to Dave and Quin now. Hey, good morning, Dave and Quin. How are you guys this morning?
It's Tim!
Woo! We're great. We're especially happy to see your face.
Well, it is mutual. I want everybody in my church to meet you and get to know you because you guys are so fantastic. But they only get you on video. They're going to get 10 minutes of you, and that's it.
That's more than enough for most people, actually.
You guys have just blessed me in your friendship, and the times we've shared laughing and eating and praying and doing art together, and it's just been you've inspired me in so many ways and helped me become a better person, and I love being able to introduce you to other people. So thank you for doing this.
Oh, the feeling is entirely mutual.
Absolutely.
So anyways, Tim, we love you.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so
You've
inspiring.
been such a huge part of our life and just spoken to us more than we can express. So.
And cow and donkey? Who can forget cow and donkey?
I know, right?
Yes, legendary.
Hey, can we put a snippet of that right now in there? No?
I'll put it in.
No.
Here's what Dave was talking about right now. Hey, listen, I want to talk specifically today about kind of what's actually all around you right now, and that's your pottery. Now, this has been since we've met. This has been new. When we hung out more together, pottery wasn't kind of on your radar, was it?
Not at all. No.
How did that happen?
Yeah. So it's so funny because I actually haven't thought about pottery or making anything with my hands for about 20 years now. We dabbled it like before.
You're only 20 now.
Oh, stop.
So when we first got married, we took a course together on pottery. And
Yeah.
so that was fun. I think we did it for a couple months.
Yep. And we made a few pieces and we still have them.
Mine were atrocious. So like I would get this lump of clay and turn it into like, it was supposed to be a bowl. It's an ashtray. Everybody's done that. Every guy's done, well, not every guy, but yeah, I've done that. And it was I just can't do it. But she made this amazing bowl we still have today. And it's just like, what?
But honestly, it was just, we had done it. It was just one of those things we had done, and like totally not on our radar of anything that we ever wanted to do really again. And then it was just so funny. So we spent the last 17 years as wedding photographers and growing our family, and that's just been our whole world. And until a couple of years ago.
2 years ago. Okay, this is a funny story because it was my birthday that Quin decided that I wanted to do pottery. I remember the ashtray and had no desire to do pottery. So we take the family, the kids, and we go to what was the place called? It's one of those studios that you go in and, you have a lump of clay.
Was it 4 Cats?
Yeah, 4 Cats, right?
I can't
and so you go mold something. You can go back and you paint it. And yeah, 4 Cats. And so we're going there with the boys. Me and Toby make ashtrays again. And her and Levi make bowls, beautiful bowls. And she's so excited. I'm thinking, this is the best birthday ever. Thanks, man.
While you have a smoke.
Okay, just let me explain.
I'm sorry.
It was just more an excuse to do something as a family. It was an excuse to do something.
But it was amazing because I think she found that spark again.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my goodness, she could center the clay, which I could. Me and Toby needed help from the lady who isn't, an expert potter. She just runs a four cats. We looked so pathetic.
No.
She came by and helped us with our clay. Anyways, go ahead.
But no, he's totally right. It just lit something in me, and I was like, oh, just to feel dirt on your hands and just it just felt like something I needed to do again. So after that, yeah, I looked around for classes, ended up taking a few classes at Workshop Studios. I fell in love with not just the whole process of it, but the people and the community. It was so different to be working on art with other people around you, because as photographers we mostly, I don't know, like we did workshops and conventions, but it was different. Like you
Right.
go out and you shoot your job, and it's almost it can be a very isolating career in photography. It can be, and then a lot of your time after the shoot is in front of your computer. So to experience clay in the company and community of other people who are just as passionate about it really just grabbed me, and I loved it. And yeah, just that was it.
What's been the hardest part of this art form?
Oh man, so much. It is difficult. But I mean, that's with anything that you love to do, in the sense that, it's everything, you're always learning and there's always challenges. And the thing with pottery, I guess, is that it's a long process from the time that you work with your clay, you form it on the wheel, and then it needs to dry, and then you have to trim it, and it has to dry some more, and then you have to fire it, and then you have to glaze it, and it's a long process. And any time throughout that journey anything can happen. Like really, literally at any point, a crack can form, or a handle can fall off, or something, or it can explode in the kiln, or anything can go wrong, or you can mess up glazing. And so I guess one of the things I had learned from my teacher is never become attached to your pieces, because they can die at any point in this journey. And it's like you spend weeks, with this forming this into its final piece, and for you to lose it at any point is kind of so yeah, you learn not to get overly attached. So I guess that's kind of the frustrating part. Yeah.
Scripture talks about this. I've always been fascinated with pottery, because it's a huge metaphor that Scripture uses. God being the potter, us being the clay. It shows up in different places throughout the Scripture, and I wonder what you've picked up as a potter that might shed some light. Do you think about that as you're doing pottery? Have you thought about that?
100%. I feel like even from the very beginning, it felt like that, that spiritual connection, because really it's, the fact that you're making something out of the most basic of elements. Like God created the earth, it's dirt, water, fire, and heat. Like that all comes together into your pot. And
beautiful art.
Yeah, and the whole idea of taking the very first thing you do, I work on the wheel, like a lot of people work with hands, but when I solely only work on the wheel, I don't do any hand building. And so when you take a lump of clay, the very first thing you need to do is center it on the wheel. And you had mentioned that. And it's so important to be centered, right? And the picture of, the maker, like Jesus is the one who makes and forms us. And, we need to be centered. And so for me to experience, it literally took me a whole year to figure out centering. I think that's the hardest part about this, about pottery is if you can't figure to center your clay, if your clay is not centered, the walls will be uneven, and you won't be able to throw your vessel as big or as beautiful or as perfect, or it'll be wonky, or And so to center your clay is took me so long to figure that out. It was just like so many crooked pots. But once you do find that center, like it feels so good in your hands. Like your hands, it's just smooth and it's perfect. And when you start throwing, it's magical in the sense that everything just flows. And I feel like a lot of times when I pot, like I worship and I just meditate and I process life and I let that happen. And it feels like almost like there's that connection, like when things are centered, when you're in line, when God has us in, that pocket of his will, that's where things just are perfect. And you're just enjoying this communion with him. And I love it. I love that I can physically experience a little bit of that. And, that God has spoken this imagery into the Bible is really, really, really cool. And it just brings that imagery into a whole different level that I can relate to through doing it.
Yeah, and it feels like COVID has just has made us all wonky, right? Like it's all kind of wonky clay on the wheel because COVID has thrown everything out of commission. And in the midst of this, how can a person be the best disciple that they can be?
Yeah, I think it's been, all of us has, really felt the challenges of COVID. I feel like where we can relate, I guess the whole imagery of pottery is that I feel like, okay, so the whole process before a pot goes into the kiln is that you can pretty much do anything to tweak the pot or reshape it or finesse it before it goes into the kiln to be fired. So, you throw it on the wheel, you let it dry a little bit till it's like leather hard, and then you take it and you can trim off all the excess stuff, the excess weight of the clay. You can carve patterns into it. You can add a handle. You can make it into a teapot. Like everything is moldable and changeable and flexible before it goes into the kiln. But as soon as it's in the kiln and the fire hits it, it like solidifies and it becomes unchangeable after that. So and it's in the firing, like if there's like an air bubble in the clay or if there is any kind of fatal flaws, the firing reveals all of those imperfections. So I mean, you could have, if there's something in there, you could have pots explode in the kiln or a crack show up that you didn't see before, or if your join on a handle is weak, then it could easily come off after it's been fired. So I feel like this time of COVID, these challenges, it makes me feel like we need to be like that soft clay. Our hearts need to be soft during this time, and we need to allow Jesus to mold us and shape us, and instead of resist, and so that when we are refined, when we come out of the fire, that we're not cracked, we're not unusable. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to come out to be unusable for the Lord, and you want to be that solid vessel that can do his purpose. And so that's kind of the picture that this whole COVID thing has brought to my brain.
Oh, that's beautiful, Quin. I mean, it is so true. And to be malleable in the hands of God is such a
truly.
I love that imagery of being pliable, moldable, shapeable by God. And that's what he wants to do. And he's never done, right? He's in the midst of molding us these days and using this as part of our molding, which is so great.
Yeah.
And you guys are such a huge blessing to so many people. I just think of all the ways you've blessed me personally, and I'm so fortunate. I love the beauty that you bring to the world, and who you are as people, and who you are as artists, who you are as friends. And so thank you for sharing your life with me. Thank you for sharing some time with our church here. And I'm super proud of you. So glad I'm your friend.
Oh man,
likewise.
You
Likewise.
shine so bright, and so thank you so much for shining.
All right, guys. God bless you. Have a great week.
Hey, you too. Bye. Bye.
Yeah, well, there you have it. I love the whole idea of being malleable in the hands of God. And these days, man, we can want to stick our feet in the ground and just say, enough. It's been enough pressure. But as we surrender ourselves to Jesus, just surrender ourselves, say, Lord, have your way in me. Do whatever you want in me. Shape me to be the person you want me to be. He will. And we will be happy at the end of it. So but just that whole idea of being centered too. I know when I was real sick, I had this sense of God resting his hands on me like a potter on the clay, trying to get me centered in him, trying to stop my worrying and my shaking and my wonkiness and get me centered and focused and quiet beneath his hands. And then it was the pressure of his hands, though, his beautiful hands, his nail-scarred hands, the pressure of those hands on me to try to get me to a place of trust and peace and rest. And that's what he wants to do in your lives too. So we're praying for you. Love you guys tons. I'm so glad to be your pastor. And I hope you have a great week. Talk to you on Friday.